Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Kayembe, studying at the University of Brussels, and today I'm gonna present you this work I've been working on during my master thesis, and that I'm still pursuing with Tobias, Mühlberg, and Iness Guirat. So what we are interested in is the environmental impact of online services. And so we know that those online services are relying on an architecture of electronic devices using electrical energy. And we always distinguish between the energy used for during the use phase, so to operate the services, and the energy that we use to build the system of products, and the energy spent at the end of for the treatment at the end of life of the equipment. So in the context of this study, we have focused on the impact caused by the use phase energy. And so what we want to do actually is to provide a framework to systematically assess the environmental impacts of an individual services, because there are studies assessing the environmental impact of the whole ICT sector. But what we want to do is to provide a tool in order to say, okay, this webmail provider is using is producing that amount of greenhouse gases emissions. So when we want to assess the environmental impacts of a system of products, we usually use a tool called the life cycle assessment. And so in the ICT sector, we always consider three main components. So the devices from the user side, from the network side, and from the server side. And in the context of this study, we focus on the user side. So we provide a framework to assess the emissions released on the devices controlled by the user. So what are the hypotheses? So we believe that going towards more privacy and more security can be mutually beneficial with greener implementation. And why we believe this is because there are studies showing that the use of advertisement and data collection mechanisms are responsible for a lot of greenhouse gases emissions. And this is because we know that rendering advertisement is an intensive task for CPU. There is also those mechanisms involving the collection, the transfer, the processing, and the storage of user data. And also there are the thousands of connections which are established each time we surf on a website in order to sell ad space on a website. So because of those emissions, we believe that if we remove those mechanisms, if we consider services relying on, like, for example, subscription, relying on business model using subscription as a source of revenue, we of course increase the privacy and the security, because there we don't need to collect user data. So this is where the idea comes from. And so what concretely we are proposing is a way to assess the user side of an implementation of a service. So basically we compare two implementations. So that might be in the case of this study, we compared webmail providers. So the idea is to split a service into its basic functionalities that we would call functional units. So in the context of webmail, that might be sending a mail, or reading a mail, or deleting a mail, etc. And we want to automate those functionalities, and we automate them in order to monitor the energy consumed by the computer while performing them. And so we end up with a set of estimates of the greenhouse gases emissions per functional units. And of course, we can integrate them over a user behavior distribution in order to have an estimate of the global impact of the service. And of course, the idea is to be able to use those estimates as a means of comparison between the different services. So in order to automate the functional units, we have a bunch of tools that we can use, but in the context of this study, We used a library called Selenium along with WebDrivers that allows to mimic mouse movements and keyboard inputs, etc. There are also other libraries like AutoIT or Sikuli, which allows you to simulate user actions, but with desktop applications. Regarding the power monitoring tool that we used, there are also a bunch of tools relying on modern computer embedded sensors. But we used a great tool from the green coding projects called the green metric tools. And what it offers is that it allows you to isolate the process that you want to measure in a container, and so it reports only the emissions related to that specific process, because we know that computers are running many processes at the same time, and we want to attribute the share of emissions to the measured process. So to apply the framework, we applied it against three different mail providers, and so we came up with this profile of energy spent for each of the 7 functional units. And so we had the action of logging into an account, logging out of the account, sending an email with attachment, etc. And we converted those energy into greenhouse gases emissions. And we were able to identify that Gmail was the greener provider in the user side. Yes, this is okay. So there are limitations to this study. The first one is that we are only tackling the user side, and of course there are a lot of emissions coming from the server side. And the problem is that we don't always know what is happening, what is the processing that is happening server side. So this is the main limitation of this work, and further research might involve cataloging the different carbon costs of the known technologies used on the server side. Also, more specifically in the user side, we don't know actually the impact of the automation libraries that we used and the ad blockers that we used, because one of the comparison that we did was to compare the same service, so the same webmail provider, with or without the use of an ad blocker. But we don't know the impact of the ad blocker itself. And lastly, we know that different providers mean different implementations, so we cannot directly associate the difference in emissions to the presence of advertisement and tracking mechanism, because there are also differences coming from the difference in implementation. So at the end, what we have is a framework that allows us to assess and compare the emissions of the user side parts of online services. And as I said, we weren't able actually to provide evidence of a correlation between the presence of advertisements and user data collection mechanism and the emissions. But we believe that maybe the type of services that we targeted was not the best suited for the use of ad blockers, as I have just explained. So thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to...
Zuhören möchtest, kann ich dir einen Link geben.
Time for a few questions.
Thank you. That was super interesting. The point on email, so you always had the debate of how you should clean out the mailbox, but it really turns out that you spend more energy cleaning the mailbox than just letting the email there. So the number seems to be supporting. I think that would be, I don't know if you've done it, but if not, that would be an interesting way to frame it. Just use the data you already have, but just with some numbers. Because I haven't seen strong numbers on that. It just sounds we think it's right, but it would be interesting because the exhausting is quite different.
I'm not sure I understand the...
So a lot of the advice is say, oh, please clean your mailbox because your email, but on one of the tables, you show that actually deleting the email you focus as much as sending the email.
Yeah, of course.
Just let your email sit there, the big ones, and let
course. Yeah.
3 hours. So I think that would be an interesting data to support that because
Uh-huh.
usually, yeah, the argument is out there, but not without,
Yeah.
without strong data.
Yeah.
If you have a frame it like that.
Summarize for people online.
Yeah, so the idea, the question was about the fact that in the current framework we assess the action of deleting an email, while actually what is advised is to delete our email. So one extended, I don't know if I'm still correct, but the proposal might be to extend the set of functional units, and so to also assess the cost of keeping the emails in the mailbox in order to be more complete about it. So yeah, I don't know if I yes, yes, please.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I've kind of found it fascinating, but this sort of free lunch model that people are surfing the internet with an email. And actually, there's a big sort of shadow in the way the data, all the services that are running to mine this,
Yes.
profile this. Do you think there's value in surfacing the impact we didn't ask for, so that people can start to get kind of mobilized around extra work that's being done?
So I think that's in order to be complete, we need to assess the server side. But actually, there isn't enough data to do it. So the only thing that we can do is cataloging the different technologies with their relative carbon costs. But the framework as it is right now, I think it might serve for organization looking into reducing their emissions, and because this is focusing on the user side. So basically, this is the energy that the user is the organization are going to pay. So that might already be useful for those kind of entity as it is. Yeah. I don't know if that answer your question.
Yeah,
Cool.
kind of interesting.
Yeah. Indirectly, yeah, of course, that represents a whole dimension of its own. Yeah. Thank you.
One more question over there, we can do.
So, as from your results, at least, it was like a big difference for some of the email services for network.
No.
Most of the it's on the user side of the algorithmic happening
On the server side, exactly.
that
Yeah.
Trying to show you the right tag. So, how do you consider that? How do you bring that together? That's something. Missing from the
Yes.
story.
Currently, I don't have an answer for
Uh,
this.
Jim, can the question please be repeated for the online audience?
So the question was about the impacts of the server side, because obviously there is a lot going on server side, and the activity happen, the processing, the data processing happening server side might completely might counterbalance the result that we have here. So the only answer that I have for this is that this is only a part of the answer, and of course, to be complete, as I already mentioned, we need to assess those processing happening server side. But actually, I don't have an answer for this. The only thing that we can do is to provide relative costs, like what is the relative cost of using an AI powered research against an index powered research in an email. So yeah, but that might only give an idea of how far providers might be from our current estimates. But yes.